Welcome back. This is our video on the cruise director. Brandon will take the lead on that because I really don't have a lot to say, good or bad, because anyway, he's got the lead on this.
In general, I think one of the main reasons why I love Carnival is the cruise directors. It just makes they make for such a fun, atmosphere. And
overall, though, we both could say the best cruise director we've ever had in history of cruising. I've got my 30th cruise coming up.
yeah.
And the whole family we were fortunate enough to have Matt Mitchum on a cruise, who's now currently on network television on CBS Love Boat. So, bar none, best cruise director, and it's honestly not even close. I mean, he's just that good. I've never seen anybody that appealed to everybody like he did. He really, everybody liked him, and that's rare.
I mean, he's the gold standard for a reason. And I was a little bit worried, even though I say I love the Carnival cruise directors. We had a stretch there where we had Matt Mitchum, which is when I kind of fell back in love with Carnival, and then I had Matt Pack, who was great, and then I went on Royal Caribbean.
Mike Pack.
Yeah, and then after, then I had No, and all three of those were great.
But she had worked under Matt.
Yeah,
when we were on
and
the
I've
Vista.
been trying to get on cruise for forever. And then I went on a 5-day one on the Magic, and the guy's name was Gary, and he was absolutely terrible. But then before I had him, all three of those other ones had retired and moved on, so I was a little bit worried about the next generation coming up. And Gary was terrible. I rated him a 1 out of 10 and blasted him in the comment section. He is no longer working for Carnival, so I take responsibility for that one. And then
he's working for Royal Caribbean or something.
Yeah, and then I had his name was Lee Mason, and in full disclosure, Lee does follow me on Twitter and does comment on some of my stuff. So there actually is a chance he's watching this. I doubt it.
That was small too.
but
he's got to have better things to do,
like getting ready for the Carnival celebration and sell in 2 weeks. But so
we had the Flying Scotsman, Chris Williams, I believe. Is his name? I'll do my part first. We didn't attend many things he did, not because of him, it's because of our toddler. He had no interest in the show, didn't want to do all that stuff. But Chris was a very nice guy, very personal guy, and maybe for as a talent, probably the most talented. I mean, he used to sing on the cruise ship shows.
Did you tell me he started out as a singer?
That's what he had said, yes. And he phenomenal voice. He did an 80s type rock show and sung. He's talented. He can play. And he wears his kilts, which is cool because no one else does that.
I believe I saw he is hanging it up.
He did. He told us that he's got a couple more contracts, and he's got a young daughter that's maybe 3 years old or something. He's going to hang it up and be a father, which you definitely have to respect that and believe that. His wife and daughter were on our cruise with us, and they were like for a 3 or 4 week stretch. I think they were there, but he did a great job. We just didn't attend much. He did. I mean, he did a good job, and he was everywhere. But that's what Carnival people do. So.
And I think it's a little harder to judge a cruise director now than it was a couple years ago. Maybe not as much when you went, West Coast. So much of being a cruise director is shaking hands and kissing babies and that kind of stuff.
And I didn't see him doing that as much, but he was at a lot of
events.
you
just really couldn't do that during, like
the crew were still
back when I went. So so I think I think you kind of have to grade that kind of thing with a little bit of a curve.
Mm-hmm.
But Lee was our cruise director, and he was great. Like if you give me Lee every time, I'll be happy. I mean, I would probably
too.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably rate him a 9 out of 10. I mean, he wasn't. We've been on so many cruises that I can tell when you make the same jokes at the same show every week. We can tell those kind of things. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't scripted. He wasn't silly. He wasn't gimmicky. He just kind of made everything more fun. And
which is what most of the good Carnival cruise directors do.
And he one of the things I remember was when they were doing the auditions for the Family Feud, the group gave their name, and it was the freaking Ricans. That's in Puerto Rico. And then when he asked where they're from, she said Florida. So he said, "Oh, so the freaking Floridians." And I just kind of thought that was funny and off the cuff and not but he was good. My mom did take a picture with him, and that made her happy. And I think he even retweeted it or commented as well. So that kind of.
We have a picture with Matt Mitchum, but I mean, Chris, I didn't get close enough to him. And I didn't see a lot of photo ops like back in the days either, where they would just sort of hang out after events.
Yeah, I assume that.
I think that's a COVID context.
Yeah, I think you probably see that change going forward. And Lee is going to be the cruise director on the Carnival Celebration, and he was one of the reasons why I didn't move him up. There was several small reasons, but he was one.
Chris is going there as well, I think, or something.
Chris takes him afterwards. But in short, like Lee was great. He was personable. He was funny. And he's everything you want.
Even if you don't like Carnival cruises, and we've cruised all different lines, they still have the best cruise director.
They do.
It's not even close. And we had years ago in Royal Caribbean, we had what's his name? It was Ken Rush. Ken Rush. He was the best Royal Caribbean cruise director we've ever had. But yeah, Carnival does a great job with cruise directors. That's just their thing.
Another note. Now we're in full disclosure again. There was a guy that was our number 2 that our Facebook page thought he was great, but we were not a fan of him personally. I think his name was Tyler, and the only reason I mentioned him was because he was a cruise director filling in at times. But I know my mom did not like him at all. He made a joke, kind of bashing old people during the some kind of party, and he was on the hit list for a while. But to me,
this isn't a good idea on a cruise ship.
Yeah, he said, and then he was from the United States in the Boston area, and I don't even know who our backup was. He was sort of, I kind of had the cocky type attitude that I didn't think processed well, Lee was great. I look forward to 7 to him in a couple of weeks.
January.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, I have no clue who our number 2 in command was. So we were on dock. We watched one show because the little guy went to sleep, and the rest of the time, if we made it 5 minutes before he left, it was it. So I'm not your source, but Chris is very talented, definitely talented.
All right, we'll see you next time.